Expansion was discussed both at a committee level and at the board, and ultimately the league office was tasked by our board with doing an in-depth analysis.
What if everything fans thought they knew about the WNBA changed in just a matter of days? A wave of controversy has swept across the league, and once again, two names are dominating every conversation: Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham. But this time, the story goes far beyond highlight plays or social media debates. Behind the scenes, league officials, team executives, and basketball analysts are all reacting to a series of developments that could reshape the future of the WNBA. Some believe the league is entering its biggest era ever, while others argue the spotlight surrounding a handful of stars is creating new challenges for everyone involved. As new decisions, growing fan interest, and non-stop headlines continue to fuel the conversation, one question remains: is the WNBA witnessing the beginning of a historic transformation, or is this only the first chapter of an even bigger story? Stay with us, because what comes next may surprise even the biggest basketball fans. The conversation surrounding the WNBA has reached a level that few people could have imagined just a few years ago. Every week seems to bring another headline, another viral clip, or another debate that spreads across sports television and social media. At the center of many of those discussions are Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham, two players whose names continue to generate attention for very different reasons. Whether fans agree or disagree with the opinions being shared online, one thing has become impossible to ignore: the spotlight on the league has never been brighter. Over the past season, the WNBA has experienced record-breaking attendance, increased television audiences, and greater interest from sponsors than at almost any other point in its history. Games that once attracted only dedicated basketball fans are now becoming must-watch events for casual viewers as well. Every major matchup is analyzed, every interview is discussed, and every controversial moment quickly becomes the topic of debate across countless sports platforms. But with that increased attention comes increased pressure. League officials now face expectations that simply didn't exist a few years ago. Every decision, whether it's related to scheduling, officiating, player safety, or league expansion, is examined under a microscope. Fans want transparency. Players want consistency. And the media wants answers. That growing pressure has created an environment where even the smallest decisions can suddenly become national stories. Caitlin Clark's arrival brought an entirely new audience to women's basketball. Long before she entered the professional ranks, millions of fans had already followed her college career, watching her remarkable shooting range, playmaking ability, and competitive mindset. Those fans didn't disappear after the draft, they followed her directly into the WNBA. The result was something the league had rarely experienced before. Ticket demand increased dramatically. Television ratings climbed. Merchandise sales surged. Road arenas suddenly found themselves hosting sold-out crowds whenever Clark's team came to town. For league executives, this represented an incredible opportunity to introduce the WNBA to millions of first-time viewers. But it also created a new challenge. Every game involving Clark became one of the most closely watched events on the basketball calendar. Every hard foul, every heated exchange, and every controversial referee decision instantly became headline news. At the same time, Sophie Cunningham continued to earn attention for a completely different reason. Known for her fearless approach and emotional style of play, Cunningham has built a reputation as one of the league's toughest competitors. She has never been afraid to stand up for teammates, challenge opponents, or bring energy to every possession. That competitive identity has made her popular with many fans who appreciate players willing to play with passion and intensity. As the season unfolded, conversations involving both Clark and Cunningham began appearing together more frequently. Sometimes those discussions focused on physical basketball. Other times they centered around player protection, officiating standards, or whether the league should respond differently as its popularity continues to grow. Sports analysts quickly found themselves divided. Some argued that basketball should remain as physical as it has always been. Others believed that protecting star players benefits the entire league because healthy stars help attract larger audiences and create more memorable moments throughout the season. Neither side appeared willing to change its opinion. Meanwhile, fans continued debating every controversial play online. The discussion eventually expanded beyond individual games. People started asking larger questions. Has the WNBA entered a completely new era? Can the league balance physical competition with player safety? How should officials handle increasingly intense games without changing the identity of professional basketball? Those questions have become some of the biggest talking points surrounding today's WNBA. Another factor fueling the conversation is the league's rapid business growth. Corporate sponsors have shown greater interest than ever before. National television partners continue expanding coverage. Cities across North America are preparing to welcome new expansion franchises, demonstrating growing confidence in women's professional basketball. This level of investment brings exciting opportunities, but it also raises expectations. Every major sports league eventually reaches a point where difficult decisions become unavoidable. How should the game be marketed? Which stars should receive the most exposure? How can competitive balance be maintained while also growing the league internationally? These aren't easy questions, and every decision will likely satisfy some fans while disappointing others. That's exactly why recent conversations have attracted so much attention. Many observers believe the WNBA now stands at one of the most important moments in its history. The choices made today could influence the direction of the league for many years to come. Whether those decisions involve expansion, broadcasting opportunities, player development, or officiating philosophy, their impact could extend well beyond a single season. As more viewers continue discovering the league, every storyline becomes larger than basketball itself. It's no longer just about wins and losses. It's about building the future of women's professional sports. It's about creating lasting opportunities for current players while inspiring the next generation of athletes who dream of reaching the WNBA one day. And perhaps that's why emotions have become so intense. Everyone involved understands what's at stake. Fans want fairness. Players want respect. Teams want championships. The league wants sustainable growth. Finding a balance between all of those priorities is far more difficult than many people realize. Yet despite the disagreements, one fact remains impossible to deny. More people are watching. More conversations are happening. More young athletes are paying attention. And with every passing week, the WNBA continues moving further into the global sports spotlight. But if the attention surrounding Clark and Cunningham has already sparked this much debate, what happened next would push the conversation even further, raising new questions about leadership, league priorities, and the future direction of professional women's basketball. As the spotlight surrounding the WNBA continued to grow, it became increasingly clear that the league was facing challenges unlike anything it had experienced before. Every nationally televised game attracted millions of viewers, every post-game interview generated headlines, and every controversial moment spread across social media within minutes. The attention was no longer limited to basketball fans, it had become part of mainstream sports conversation. That shift changed everything. For years, many WNBA stories remained inside the basketball community. Now, every hard foul, heated exchange, and emotional reaction was being analyzed by television analysts, former players, podcasts, and sports journalists across the country. Naturally, league officials found themselves under more pressure than ever. Fans wanted consistency from referees. Players wanted confidence that every team would be treated equally. Coaches wanted games decided by basketball rather than controversy. At the same time, executives understood that maintaining the league's momentum required building trust with millions of new viewers discovering the WNBA for the first time. This balancing act wasn't easy. One week, fans criticized officials for allowing games to become too physical. The following week, others argued referees were calling too many fouls and disrupting the flow of competition. No matter which approach officials chose, criticism followed. That reality sparked another major conversation throughout the basketball world. Should the league make adjustments as its popularity continues to grow? Some analysts believe today's WNBA audience expects a faster, more offensive style of basketball similar to what has become popular across professional sports. Others argued that physical defense has always been an important part of championship basketball and shouldn't disappear simply because television ratings have increased. Neither opinion completely dominated the conversation. Instead, the debate became another example of a league evolving in real time. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark remained one of the biggest attractions in professional basketball. Every arena she visited experienced incredible energy. Fans arrived hours before tip-off. Children wearing Clark jerseys packed the lower bowl. Merchandise stands often sold out before games even began. The excitement surrounding her appearances demonstrated how quickly one player can help introduce an entirely new audience to the sport. But enormous popularity also brings enormous expectations. Every performance was compared to the previous one. Every missed shot became a talking point. Every defensive play against her sparked discussions about officiating. For many veteran players, adapting to this new environment wasn't always simple. They had spent years building the league, competing through seasons when television exposure and national attention were far more limited. Now, the spotlight had expanded dramatically, and every game carried a level of scrutiny that few had experienced before. Among the players frequently discussed during this period was Sophie Cunningham, whose competitive approach continued earning praise from teammates and fans alike. Throughout her career, Cunningham has developed a reputation for playing with emotion, toughness, and confidence. She never hesitates to defend teammates or compete with intensity, qualities many coaches value tremendously. Supporters admire that fearless mentality. Critics sometimes believe it crosses the line. That difference of opinion is exactly what makes sports conversations so compelling. As debates intensified, television personalities began discussing a much broader issue. How should the WNBA balance entertainment with competitive integrity? Professional sports have always relied on star players to attract audiences. From basketball to football, baseball, and soccer, recognizable athletes often become the faces of their leagues. However, every successful league must also convince fans that every team competes under the same standards. Finding that balance remains one of the greatest challenges in professional sports. League executives understand that credibility is just as valuable as popularity. Fans may initially tune in because of superstar players, but they continue watching because they believe the competition is authentic. That principle has guided successful sports organizations for decades. Meanwhile, another important development continued shaping the league's future. Expansion. With new franchises preparing to join the WNBA, excitement continued building across multiple cities. Expansion represents opportunity. More teams create more roster spots. More roster spots create more opportunities for young athletes. More markets introduce the league to entirely new fan bases. But growth also creates new challenges. General managers must build competitive rosters. Coaches must develop inexperienced talent. League officials must ensure the quality of play remains high despite adding additional teams. Those decisions require careful planning. Every expansion draft affects existing organizations. Every new franchise changes scheduling. Every business decision influences competitive balance. These aren't overnight changes. They're long-term investments in the future of professional women's basketball. As these conversations unfolded, many insiders began describing the current period as a turning point. Not because of one player. Not because of one team. But because the league itself appeared to be entering an entirely different phase of growth. Corporate partnerships continued increasing. National broadcasts expanded. Attendance records kept falling. Young athletes across the country suddenly saw women's professional basketball reaching audiences that previous generations could only imagine. That's why every decision now carries greater significance. Small changes can produce enormous reactions. A referee's whistle. A coach's comments. A player's emotional response. A front office announcement. Each one becomes another headline discussed across the sports world. Yet perhaps the biggest story isn't any single controversy. It's the fact that millions of people who rarely watched the WNBA before are now paying attention every single week. That kind of momentum cannot be ignored. The challenge moving forward isn't simply maintaining popularity. It's transforming temporary excitement into long-term growth that benefits every franchise, every player, and every future generation of women's basketball. But just as the league seemed ready to embrace that next chapter, another wave of developments would raise even bigger questions about leadership, expectations, and what the future of the WNBA could ultimately become. As the WNBA moves into one of the most exciting periods in its history, one thing has become increasingly clear: the league is no longer simply trying to gain attention, it is learning how to manage it. With every nationally televised game, sold-out arena, and viral social media moment, expectations continue to rise for everyone involved. That reality affects much more than the players on the court. Team executives are making long-term business decisions. Coaches are adapting strategies to match an evolving style of play. Sponsors are investing larger amounts than ever before. Broadcast partners are dedicating more airtime to women's basketball. Every part of the league is growing at the same time. For many longtime fans, this transformation feels remarkable. Only a few seasons ago, conversations about the WNBA rarely dominated national sports headlines. Today, however, discussions surrounding league decisions, player rivalries, and future expansion regularly appear alongside coverage of the NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball. That kind of visibility represents years of hard work from countless athletes who helped build the foundation long before the current surge in popularity. At the center of today's conversation remains Caitlin Clark, whose impact continues extending far beyond individual statistics. Her presence has introduced millions of new viewers to professional women's basketball. Young fans who followed her college career are now learning about veteran stars across the league. Families attending their first WNBA games are discovering players they may never have watched otherwise. In many ways, increased attention around one player has benefited the sport as a whole. At the same time, experienced competitors like Sophie Cunningham continue reminding fans that professional basketball has always been built on determination, toughness, and competitive spirit. Every successful league needs players with different personalities. Some lead through spectacular scoring. Others inspire teammates through relentless effort. Some become fan favorites because of highlight plays. Others earn respect through leadership and intensity. That variety is part of what makes sports so compelling. As television audiences continue expanding, basketball analysts have started discussing another important question. What should the next version of the WNBA look like? Should the league continue emphasizing faster offensive basketball? Should defensive physicality remain an important part of the game? How can officials create consistency while allowing players to compete with emotion? These aren't questions with easy answers. Every generation of sports experiences similar debates. The NBA changed dramatically over the past 20 years. The NFL introduced new player safety initiatives. Baseball adjusted several rules to improve pace of play. Every major league eventually evolves as audiences, technology, and business opportunities change. The WNBA now finds itself navigating that same journey. Perhaps the biggest challenge isn't choosing one direction over another. It's finding balance. Balance between entertainment and competition. Balance between protecting players and preserving physical basketball. Balance between celebrating rising stars and respecting veterans who helped establish the league long before today's spotlight arrived. Achieving that balance will likely determine how successful this new era ultimately becomes. Meanwhile, expansion continues moving forward. New cities are preparing to welcome professional women's basketball. Fresh fan bases are eager to support their teams. Young athletes entering future drafts will have additional opportunities to begin professional careers. Every expansion franchise represents another investment in the future of the sport. With growth comes responsibility. League leaders understand that maintaining credibility remains just as important as increasing revenue. Fans want exciting games. Players want fair competition. Sponsors want positive exposure. Broadcasters want compelling storylines. Meeting all of those expectations simultaneously requires careful leadership. That's why every league announcement now receives enormous attention. Every scheduling adjustment. Every rule clarification. Every disciplinary decision. Every business partnership. Each one contributes to shaping public perception of where the WNBA is heading. Looking ahead, the biggest opportunity may not involve any single player. Instead, it may come from the incredible depth of talent now entering professional basketball. Every draft class brings new personalities. New rivalries develop naturally. Future stars continue emerging across the league. That constant flow of talent ensures today's excitement doesn't depend entirely on one season or one headline. Instead, it becomes part of something much larger. A growing professional league attracting worldwide attention. As fans continue debating controversial moments and celebrating unforgettable performances, one truth remains impossible to ignore. More people are watching than ever before. More children are dreaming about playing professionally. More companies are investing. More cities want franchises. More television networks want broadcasting rights. Those developments represent meaningful progress for women's basketball regardless of individual opinions surrounding any particular storyline. Ultimately, history won't judge this era solely by one controversial game, one heated debate, or one viral highlight. It will be remembered for whether the league successfully transformed unprecedented attention into lasting success. Can today's momentum create opportunities for future generations? Can increased investment improve facilities, salaries, and resources? Can expanding audiences help elevate every franchise rather than only a handful of stars? Those are the questions that truly matter. The coming seasons will provide the answers. Until then, fans can expect the conversations to continue. The headlines will keep coming. New stars will emerge. Veteran leaders will continue competing. Rivalries will evolve naturally. And every nationally televised game will add another chapter to a league that appears stronger, more visible, and more ambitious than ever before. Whether you're following Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, or simply enjoying the remarkable growth of women's basketball, one thing is undeniable. The WNBA has entered a new era, one defined by bigger audiences, greater opportunities, and higher expectations than ever before. And if recent months have shown us anything, it's that this story is only beginning. The biggest moments may still lie ahead, with every new season bringing fresh challenges, unforgettable performances, and another opportunity for the league to continue writing history. What do you think about everything happening around Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, and the WNBA right now? Is the league making the right moves for its future, or do you think some of these decisions have created even bigger debates among fans and players? We'd love to hear your thoughts, so head down to the comments and join the conversation. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more in-depth coverage of the biggest WNBA stories, breaking basketball news, player updates, and behind-the-scenes analysis, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support helps us bring you more original basketball content every week. Thanks for watching, thanks for being part of our growing community, and we'll see you in the next video with another major story from the world of basketball.